Okay, so we are live. I know, guys, it's been a while, and I'm like, let me just jump on. I know the lighting is terrible. I only have like one little light that's showing, but hopefully this message still comes in loud and clear. So let's get into it because I don't have that much time, but I wanted to record something for the podcast. You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. So here's how to not get played in hypergamy. Okay. This topic came about because one of my clients, she had posted this video in the chat, and it was about a woman talking about hypergamy, but it was from a very worldly perspective. It was like some things that obviously, well, you all know because you guys subscribe, you guys are listening, you guys know the basics of hypergamy, that, the husband makes most of the money, or at least puts his effort into that. The woman puts her effort into the home and raising of the kids. So we know that stuff. But however, the way she was talking about it was from a very worldly perspective. And then another woman came in. She's like, "Oh, did you see this comment? Oh my gosh." Because the comment was a woman, I guess she did the whole trad wife thing. I don't know if you guys have been seeing this. It's like this whole trad wife to poverty pipeline. And she's like, "Oh, I wish I knew this beforehand. Ladies, listen to her because I was married and she had a business, but the business was on the husband's land. The land was on the husband's name. So he divorced her later in life, and I guess she couldn't keep the business because it was on his land or whatever the case is." And they were like, "Oh my gosh, wow." Like my clients, they're, "Oh," and I'm just like, she's stupid. I'm like, she's stupid. Like, why would, this is really dumb. And they're like, "Well, this is the first time that we heard about hypergamy was through you all and through, this brand." So I just wanted to go through some basic, well, it's not basic, but it's just really, if you want to go this hypergamous route, here are some things that you should consider. Now, if you're not trying to get played with the whole hypergamy thing, because again, I don't know where you guys are and what you guys have been seeing, but I've been seeing this constant trad wife to poverty pipeline. Like, women come out on TikTok and, "I was a trad wife and my husband divorced me and now I'm in poverty," which to me is just so strange. Well, first of all, let me just say that there's a difference between being a trad wife and a biblical wife. People confuse the two, okay? A trad wife is what you saw in the 50s. That is actually relatively new. A biblical wife is not a trad wife, right? A biblical wife can make her own money. Is, well, what we're going to get into in a second, but I just want to make sure that you guys understand that there is a difference. So before, when we talk about how not to get played in hypergamy, the prep step, I would say, is you should marry a man who sees you as his dream girl. By the way, if my throat sounds a little bit scratchy, just coming off from a cold, like recovering from a cold, like this is probably like the last day, it's like the residue. So if you hear a little bit of hoarsiness, that's why, but I didn't want to let that stop me. I said, let's just go. Okay, we're going to record, put this up, and move on with our lives. But yeah, you want to marry a man who sees you as his dream girl. I see with a lot of these trad wives, which is unfortunate because I think some of them might be like Mormons or in certain communities and they just had no idea. When I say make sure that you're a man's dream girl, here's one of the traps or potential traps of the whole trad wife genre is a woman gets married young and she marries a man who is also young. Then they grow together, and once a man finally becomes established, he wants to also upgrade his woman. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying this is what happens in the world. We live in a fallen world. And then she's devastated, and then he leaves her for a younger woman or whatever the case is. If you're going to do this whole hypergamy thing, this is why I encourage and I implore women, make sure that you level up and make sure that you're putting your best self out there. You're not with a man who's just tolerating you. You're with a man who actually cherishes you. That's really important. Some women, they can't really tell because a lot of women get blindsided by feelings and emotions and, "Oh, I love you, he loves me, and that's my boyfriend, da, 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 da." Because if you marry young and the guy is also young, he may not be actualized as a man and mature as a man. He might just be marrying you, maybe because of duty, maybe because of culture, but were you his first choice? You always want to make sure that you are a man's first choice, which is why, when you level up and a man sees you, because even the Bible says that, I think it's in Ecclesiastes, your wife is a reward for your toil here on earth, right? When a man is done toiling, he is looking for his reward. He is looking for his crown. He is looking for his excellent wife. He's looking for his good thing, right? It's not, and I'm not saying that you can't marry young and you can't build together and it always ends up as this. I'm not trying to fearmonger anyone. I'm just saying that make sure that you're the prize, okay? Make sure that you're putting in that effort to be the prize physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, so that a man feels like, okay, this is what I have been toiling for, which is why back then, I mean, I guess in different cultures and in different times, it kind of varies, but a lot of times men don't get married until they're a little bit older because they have something to provide. That's not always cut and dry, because we see in the Word of God, well, I don't actually know how old Joseph was. I know Mary was 16. I don't know how old Joseph was, but you do see like bigger age gaps throughout history, simply because what can a man provide who's the same age as the woman he wants to marry, right? And let me just get off that point, but that's just a precept, okay? Make sure that you're vetting this man. And honestly, it's not just you. Bring in your fathers. Hello. If you have a good father, a present father, or at least someone who is in your life, maybe like an older relative, an older brother who knows men and has your best interest at heart, make sure that he's actually vetting that man for you. He's chin checking that man. He's asking that man the real question, not just, oh, do whatever you want. You don't want to, not a man who's drunk the feminist Kool-Aid and women are equal, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm not talking about those passive men. I'm talking about if you have a real masculine man in your corner, you're winning, okay? If you got a masculine man who can vet men for you and really have that conversation and sit them down and say, you're not good enough for my daughter, for my sister, for whoever, you're not good enough. You need a man who has, the audacity to really sit here and, I don't want to say size up a man, but can really tell like, this man he's just here to play. Like he doesn't even know what he's doing in life. He's not good enough to provide a stable life for my relative, okay? So anyways, let's get into actually how not to get played in hypergamy, but that's just a pre-step, right? Because the women who said that, that if I would have known that my marriage and my livelihood was conditional on a man being in love with me, I would have done this and da-da-da-da. And it's like, I hear you, which is another reason to not just be a reward, not just be his dream girl, but also one of my mottos, my femininity mottos that I tell women is never let yourself go. Women just make this mistake. I'm not victim blaming any of these women. I don't know their story. I don't know their marriage. I'm just saying that as a trend, not those women, but just in general, when a woman gets into a relationship or gets into a marriage, she completely lets herself go and she takes her husband for granted. She gets too comfortable. She starts burping and farting in front of him. She's just walking around with her muumuu and her bonnet on all day. She doesn't take a bath. She doesn't get waxed anymore. She's not doing her nails. She doesn't do makeup. She'll put on a good look for everybody else but her husband. I see this happen all the time. If she's going to work, sure, she's going to look decent to go to work. If she's going to a party for other people and other men, she'll look good. But at home, she just looks like a slob. Or she just gains a whole bunch of weight, like lack of discipline. And again, he should take me as I am. But what if he was to serve you divorce papers and say, hey, I'm going to serve you divorce papers in 90 days. Most women would drop the weight instantly, either A, because they don't want a divorce, or B, because they have to get back out there and they're overweight, right? They're overweight. They let themselves go. Women do this all the time. After a bad breakup, then they want to get their lick back and they want to level up and do like, you should have done that in the marriage. You understand what I'm saying? So again, just precepts, right? Well, I've been talking for the precept for a while. So let's get into it. Okay. The first thing I want to say is, and when I say don't get played in hypergamy, because a lot of women have this question of, what if he leaves me or what if he dies? Right? And I'm a homemaker, I'm a housewife, and what happens to me? I always tell you women, you don't have to be dumb and broke to be hypergamous, okay? You don't have to be stupid. And this idea of a man is a plan is not true. Or like some people say, don't think of a man as a plan. And I think that is a proper way to think. Not to say that he shouldn't protect you, provide for you, and cover you. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that a lot of women come into marriage as a liability and not an asset. They come into marriage, they want to be homemakers, or a lot of women who are aspiring to be homemakers, besides their youth and sex, they're not really offering much, okay? Women not only let themselves go physically, but even their mind. They're no longer students. They're no longer learning and growing. They're no longer gaining any skills. They just say, okay, well, my husband's paying the bills, la di da di da. You still should keep your mind sharp, right? You're still in reality. So let's just talk about in the case that your man passes away. And this is more on the man. This is why you need to marry a man who is responsible. If you're going to do this trad wife thing, you really have to marry a man who has good self-leadership, first and foremost. He has to be able to lead himself well before he leads you well. So self-leadership looks like, what has he been doing before you got there? How does he lead his own life? How does he prepare for the future? These are things that you have to look at. But if a man was to pass away, guys, there's life insurance, okay? And life insurance is not so expensive, but you can get $500,000 to $1 million if your husband passes away within the terms of that policy, right? Now you got to do an interview, and it can get pricey. It's a few hundred a year, depends on how much life insurance that you're getting, but that is a great safety net to have. And before you get married, you should talk about these things like, hey, what's going to happen, God forbid, if you pass away and you're leaving me with 3 kids, right? What's going to happen in these cases? How do we do this? What, do you have a will? Do you have something? So life insurance is one. I would say another thing is, I would say self-sustainability, okay? If you're seeing this trend of homemaker, homeschooler, homesteader, and you're seeing a lot of conservative, traditional Christian couples moving towards that way, it's because of self-sustainability. Instead of giving your entire autonomy to everyone else, to the state, to big corporations, to big pharma, to big food, right? To education, to big education. You are taking that responsibility for yourself and for your own family. So a lot of people do homesteading. Do you know how to garden? Do you know how to raise some chickens? Which I don't know how to do that, but definitely I talked to my husband, when we first got married, and I'm like, this is definitely something that I want to do one day, because God forbid something happened to you, or we're old, or whatever the case is. I don't want to have to rely on someone else to survive. Okay. So you should have these skills. And homesteading isn't just, self-sufficiency isn't just homesteading. It's also having a business, right? Owning things, having a house, paying for a house off, paying for your cars off, so that those things are actually yours. A problem with the younger generation, and even more specifically Black communities, we don't own anything, right? We don't own anything. You should look into owning a house, seeing if you can buy it cash, or owning a piece of land. I'm not saying that you have to go completely off grid, but you need to learn some level of self-sustainability. And a business is a great way to start, because you don't have to rely on an employer. That's why when I hear these women say that, oh yeah, I had a business, or oh yeah, I was married and then my husband divorced me and I have nothing. You don't have any transferable skills, right? Like, what were you doing? You don't, like, at some point within the marriage, like, I don't understand how someone's married for 20 plus years, and within that time, you could have learned the skills to build a successful business. Do you understand? What were you doing? Right? Whether you're married, whether you're a homemaker or you're not, still, do you know how to trade stocks? Do you know how to, I don't even know. There's so many different ways to make money, which is why I said there's a difference between a trad wife and a biblical wife. Because a biblical wife, and we have to stop conflating the two, this idea of like women don't touch money is not a biblical thing, or women are not supposed to see money. It's only the man that handles it. No, men are usually the breadwinner simply because they can focus on that. As a woman, in the Word of God, your first marching orders is your home, right? The Bible says in Titus 2, for older women to encourage younger women to be homemakers or home workers, right? Your first marching orders and duties and responsibilities is not gallivanting up and down, having a career, but it's really to be able to keep your home in order, right? So if you're at home keeping your home in order, there are different things that you can do to make money at home. You can start a side business. You can start a daycare, right? There's so many just different things, but you have to get creative. And this is what I'm talking about, that self-sufficiency. And you should keep gaining skills. And again, stay a student, constantly sharpen your skills and sharpen your mind. Okay, I'm going to move on. I said life insurance is self-sustainability. Another thing is have your name on everything that you jointly own, which is why I originally said that woman is stupid. Like, how do you not have your name on the land, right? Like, it's like people want to cosplay with this hypergamy thing. Like, they want to dip their toe in, but not for real. You should have your name on everything you both jointly own. If you guys get a house, and even if he's the main breadwinner, your name should be on the deed. Hello? You need to, again, do your due diligence. Your name should be on all the credit cards. Well, I hope that you guys have a joint account, because that's another thing I was going to say. Have a joint account. But some of you are really irresponsible, which is unfortunate. That's something that you definitely have to get in check. Like, if you're someone who's a big spender and you don't know how to budget and you lack self-control, I can't even blame a man if he's like, I can't give you my cards. But as a woman, especially a hypergamous woman, a godly woman, self-control is part of the fruit of the spirit. You have to develop that self-control and that discipline, right? And that submission to your husband, that you're not going around his back and just spending on things and just swiping his credit card for everything, and you guys did not agree, right? Or you're going over budget on things. That's very irresponsible, and that makes you a liability as a wife. Okay, so you don't want to be a liability. You want to be an asset. You want to know how to save money. You want to know how to be conservative with your spending. You don't want to be nagging him and say, you need to go make more money. Make more money for what? So that you can just keep spending. You have to find contentment with wherever you're at in life. And hopefully you marry a man that if you do want a certain lifestyle that you both don't currently have, you both, hello, I said both, are working and have a plan towards that type of lifestyle or self-sustainability. It may not just pop in and drop from the clouds, which is why, again, a lot of women want to be hypergamous, but all we see is a certain type of lifestyle of a man as a sole provider. You need to marry a millionaire. He needs to be making 6 figures plus, and that's that. There's a lot of different ways to be hypergamous. It's just women are not humble enough. We're not humble. We're not submitted enough to our husbands. We're not vetting men properly for their vision. We're not coming underneath submission to we're not submitting ourselves to the mission, okay? And we want to do our own thing. We want to do our own thing, make our own money, and then for the husband to go break his back, make money, and then we take that money too. Is madness, right? It is madness. And then the home is undone. The children are being raised by iPad and TV and media and music. And then society begins to crumble, okay? So I would say have a plan, right? Maybe you guys want to live off the grid. Maybe you guys want to have a farm one day. Maybe you guys want a homestead. Maybe you guys want to move towards a healthier way of living and, maybe have like a Whole Foods type of house, right? That you're just eating whole foods, you're eating grains, you know what I'm saying? You're not eating a lot of canned things, it's a lot of fresh food. You have your own garden. Maybe you guys have a business that you guys are running together. My husband and I, we have a business together. I mean, I had a business before I got married, which is Gali Femme, but I'm not as active in it because I'm submitted to my husband's vision. And we have a vision and a path that we're on right now that I cannot be getting distracted left and right, which is why I'm like, okay, I have a little bit of time. Here I am, but I can't run two businesses, at least not in this season. I can come back to this later. My husband encouraged me to come back to this later in life, right? When I'm a little bit more older, I'm a little bit more seasoned, my kids are a little bit more grown, our business is thriving, then sure, I can dedicate a little bit more time to this. But in the moment, right now, here is our focus. And I don't know how long it's going to take. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. But again, you guys need to have a plan. When you marry a man, have a plan. Vet him to see where is he going in life and how can you be his helpmate so that you both can get there together, right? Because that's why I'm like, this is very strange. Like this hypergamy thing, some of these trad wives, it's like, I don't understand how you're hypergamous and you're still doing your own thing, right? Like, what? I just don't get it. Like, if we're gonna be hypergamous and if we're gonna be for real, let's work as a team. Let us collaborate with our husbands. Let us submit to our husband in his vision. Let us help him in his vision. And he will take care of us, right? So have your name on everything. That's what I was saying, especially if you're not making any income and your husband knows you're not making any income. Like my name is on everything. I have my name on all of our cards. We have a joint account. The credit cards, my name is on the business. My name is on the lease. The only thing my name is not on, which I don't know how to do that, or we don't know how to do that, is on his stocks that he had before he met me. But I have access to it. I can pull up his Robinhood right now and I can see what's going on with his stocks, even though like my name is not on it, but I have access to everything. He has access to my business account. I don't have much in it. I don't have much in it, but he has access to it. I put him as a whatever, like in my business account. So there's full transparency in finances. And I've always been someone that I said that if I cannot trust you financially, why are we getting married? Right? Like, I understand, like, with my parents, my mom's generation at least, and her mom, and, especially when it comes to Nigerians and Africans, because the marriages really suck and there is no family court in Nigeria, there's no justice in Nigeria. Women will have their own money, have their own job, essentially be living their own lives, building a house for themselves, stocking away money in their account just in case that the marriage doesn't go through and she, is left destitute. So that's how they're doing things in Nigeria. And I can't, you see, because in America, like I live in the US, there are laws in place that also protect you if you are a homemaker, if you are hypergamous, right? Like we do get alimony, we do get child support. I know in Nigeria it's a lot more corrupt, so I don't have any practical wisdom for that. All I can say is just based on spiritual faith and faith wisdom, don't marry someone that you cannot trust financially. And if you're not trustworthy financially either, that is something that you definitely have to work on, and not push to the side and then let it blow up and you get your husband into debt once you get married because you keep spending, and you're not responsible. So that is all I have to say about this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.